All right. And we should be live. Live again, once again. 2J's at night. Thanks for joining us. If you're watching this live, if you're just tuning in later at a different time, thanks for watching. This is 2J's at night. I'm Jordan, and as always with me, I'm joined by my brother Jeremy. How's it going?
Not bad. How's it going in your neck of the woods?
Yeah, it's been a busy time up here. We've had spring has come, and warm days are here again. So lots going on the farm.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, mostly warm days. It's we're under a frost warning tonight.
really.
So yeah, we sure are.
Wow.
So making me not quite as sad about not having stuff in the garden just yet. So
Do you know what your
yeah.
first or last frost date usually
Uh,
is?
the average is the average is in the end of April to the beginning of May, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
they don't just give you a hard date. There's like an average time. So
Right.
I'm pretty sure it's like late April, early Mayish is the average around here. So
Yeah.
um,
We usually get into like kind of start of June. Sometimes if you're not careful, you put stuff out very end of May, and you can still end up with a frost.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, I know you've been hopping. Do you got the greenhouse up yet? Totally, or what's up with that?
Yeah, dude, that is quite a story actually. We got the frame all set up, and uh, so this for those that are listening, this is a Gothic style caterpillar tunnel. So it has like individual pieces kind of along a length that form, like
Ribs,
little
if you will.
support, yeah, little support uh, ribs, and then you just put like a thin kind of clearish plastic over top of that, and it gives you some season extension capabilities. So, and then also for us up here in the kind of a cooler climate, it allows us to grow some of the warmer crops like tomatoes a little easier. You can grow tomatoes pretty well. Um, but anyway, yeah. So this was a 50-foot tunnel, Gothic style. So it has like kind of like a peaked at the top to allow it to shed snow a little easier in the wintertime. And we've got like all these like wind bracing pieces on the sides to sort of stabilize the two far ends. So those stabilizer pieces are angled and they connect ribs. I think that they go the first three ribs you can connect on either side, and then yeah, so we got all that put into place. Drove the rebar in, and then it has like a solid centerpiece that goes all along the peak down the whole 50-foot lengths, and got all that put on. And
Mhm.
then the plastic was what the last phase. Um, and it's kind of a tough thing to do because right where we're at is an exposed hilltop, and it's actually for those that are dealing with
Uh,
having a farm and wanting to do vegetable production is it definitely can work hand in hand. But one of the things that you want to have when you have a farm is a good breeze because it helps keep flies down,
mm,
right? And the smell
interesting. Yeah,
down as well
sure.
too.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh, but
absolutely.
strong breeze is very detrimental to crops. It stresses them and keeps them from being able to produce and grow very well. But it also makes putting up plastic a real pain. So
Well, when you were saying about being on the exposed kind of hillside, I'm just envisioning you and like four other people floating around in the stratosphere with a 50-foot piece of plastic.
Dude, I tell you what, could have almost been that way if I had four corners of it. I could have taken off. Yeah, probably. So it was just Becca and I, and we actually, I coordinated. I waited for a day when it seemed like, forecasted was like a low wind, and for the most part, I mean,
Sure.
compared to days that it can be up there, it was a low wind day, with periods of, maybe up to 7 mile an hour,
Gotcha.
kind of light breeze, right? But so what happened was, we're greenhorns on this. We've never done it before. So this is a learning experience. We had gotten most of it kind of up, and it was taking us a bit to get it up and over because it was bunching up on the sides as we were pulling it up. So we start on one end, and I'm on a ladder. Becca's kind of on the ground helping to guide it up. And we're just sort of pulling it up, and then I'm moving my ladder down the rib to the next rib and trying to pull it up and just making our way down.
Yeah.
And it took us a little bit initially because we weren't realizing what it was kind of getting bunched up on as it was trying to slide up. And because there's so much of it, it was kind of slipping underneath the wind bracing, those angles, and then catching against that wind bracing, and
like in the corner, kind of.
Yeah.
So
Becca, eventually, then we kind of figured that out, and Becca was able to kind of pull it like out, and then like lift it up and sort of push it up towards me, and that. So we were able to get it basically all the way over, but because it took us a while. We started on like a slow, no wind, right? Now no breeze, and about midway, the breeze starts to kind of kick up again. Then about like once we've got like the thing mostly over, now we're starting to get a bit of a breeze coming through, and there's enough plastic on the opposite side still that it just blows against the ribs, against the side. But now on the opposite side that we've been pulling it across, it's catching enough that it's starting to it lifts and it's flapping. And there's, oh man, it's intense. It's 50 feet of plastic just flapping. And you're just holding on, trying to just don't go, don't fly away.
Yeah.
And we do a couple tries. We kind of get it shifted to a place where we think we want it. And I started to even put in the end wall. It's like a spring wire channel stuff that you kind of push the plastic into. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I did one side, and we were kind of trying to get the other side locked into place. But at that point, then, the issue that we had was we did not get it properly centered. And so on the side that the wind was blowing against, we had a gap there. We didn't have it down enough. And so air was getting up and underneath it and catching, and it was still flapping the other side bad. And it actually, the reason that we ended up pulling off the plastic and just it flipped completely over to the other side and started to pull the whole ribs off of the rebar. Off the rebar. We had two full ribs come off the rebar.
Wow.
So it just was like, it's going to tear this whole, it's starting to tear everything apart. So I took out the spring wire.
Well, I'd imagine
took it off.
Yeah, I'd imagine the plastic is starting to be on the verge of starting to rip, and I've never done anything like it. I've heard people talk about it, and it's I know it's not an easy task. That's something else. So you still don't have the plastic on as of yet?
No, we haven't had another day where it coordinated well. Well, we had some days where it was calm, but Becca is now working a lot more full time on the cheese making, so her schedule is a lot more limited. Um, yeah, but I think at least in terms of like lessons learned, we definitely learned quite a lot from that, and we have a much better plan
Yeah.
going forward. So I feel much more confident about the next go.
Yeah. 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 And it really is kind of one of those things where I think probably once you kind of have a feel for it a little bit, you know, you're probably able to move forward with it a little bit better.
Hmm.
So, oh man, huh? Wow,
Yeah.
that's definitely got to be a little aggravating, but you know, growing pains, learning pains,
Yeah.
you know.
Hey,
So
yeah, I knew that there was gonna be some stumbles, some obstacles. It wasn't gonna be smooth
yeah,
sailing the whole way. So,
sure,
um, but
sure.
the nice thing is that we're not. This isn't doesn't need to be up. It's not gonna. It doesn't mean that I can't do something. I positioned my sort of time frame such that I have a whole another month here before I really need it up.
Yeah,
The tomatoes, which are right next to me, right here, they are they just got potted up this week, so they went out of their little tiny cells into. I'll grab one here into little bigger ones,
gotcha. Okay,
and
okay.
so they've got a couple weeks here still, and so I've got a little bit of time.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'm working on. I've never started stuff
Mm.
successfully from a tray before. I've never really tried exactly. So this is really kind of the first year I'm really kind of trying to give it a go, and
Yeah. How's
it's
that going?
interesting. I don't know what I'm doing. It's going, but I fried some of them the other day because I left them
Yep.
outside and it got really warm,
Oh.
and I couldn't believe it. Like at the end of the day, I was like, yeah, obviously. I mean, I was doing other stuff, so it's not like I was paying attention, but I was like, yeah, obviously that would happen, you idiot. But
I've done it before though as well.
but but other than that, I mean, I got a lot of stuff coming up, and now I guess I'm kind of at a point now where I'm like, is it supposed to go in the garden now, or should I move it to like a bigger pot like that, like you just did with that? Because that's what we did. We put like 3 or 4 seeds of each in each little thing, and
Yeah.
we definitely have areas where all of them started successfully. So
Nice.
it's like, is there enough dirt in there? Are they going to be all right in there for another week, 2 weeks? Um,
Right.
I don't know. And I know too that when you transplant them, I mean, that's always a little dramatic for them. So you want to try to limit that.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm kind of just like trying to figure all that out and figure out what
Well,
I'm
it's good that
doing.
you're putting them outside because that's like the first process is you want to sort of get them because they've been inside the whole time. They need to start getting used to intense sunlight, maybe a little bit of
Yeah.
wind. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
the sun goes behind the cloud. It's a little cold for a bit. That type
Yeah.
of thing.
Yeah.
Um,
They seem to really like it, aside from when you just let them out there when it ends up being like 80 degrees one day and, they're the size of a hair. um,
yeah,
they tend to dry up kind of quickly.
pretty quickly. Yeah. Yep. You didn't
So,
have a
but
dome over
otherwise,
it, did you? Little domes. You have the little dome over them.
no, 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 nope.
Good.
Which I thought maybe I should have because that might have helped. Is that the idea of the dome to keep moisture in more with those seed trays? Is that the
Uh,
idea?
yes, and it does do well whenever they're germinating, but once they're like little seedlings, especially if you put it outside, it basically is like a little greenhouse. It would cook them as well pretty rapidly.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought. Yeah. So this year we actually used, like the last time, it was mostly Lena and the boys started it, and I didn't really have much to do with it. And they put them in the actual plastic trays, which
Mm.
getting the plants from the plastic trays into the garden was an immense pain in the ass. It was very aggravating. So, I had read somewhere earlier that you could use toilet paper rolls, empty toilet
Yeah.
paper and paper towel rolls, And so that's what we did. I ditched the little plastic. I kept the liner thing, the pan, and
Yeah.
ditched the plastic. And we just cut like the toilet paper rolls in half and just put them in there and filled them with
Nice.
dirt and used those. And what I'm going to do is, to the extent that I don't have to transplant, I don't know. I might as well end up just throwing them out because I'm going to have to take those 3 or 4 out of the one cardboard thing anyway.
Mm.
But one of my initial ideas was, oh, I'll just throw the cardboard right in the ground. You know, who cares? It's biodegradable. But
Yeah.
thinking about it now, if I need to separate those out a little bit,
Yeah.
might end up just not using the cardboard anyway. But it's worked out very well. So
Does
it
it,
definitely does work.
is it capped on the bottom? Like the
You
cardboard, or is
mean
it just open in the bottom?
it's just open?
So you
Yeah,
might be
it's
able to just kind of
just
like,
an empty paper towel roll.
yeah, you might be able just to sort of push the block if you really like water the little thing really well, and then the next day you should be able to just like push the like little whole soil block almost like out of it, and then you can kind of separate them out they're out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's a good idea. Yeah, but we just wrote right on the cardboard, what we planted
Mm.
in the thing. So, yeah, I think it'll work out pretty good. And there's definitely stuff that's starting successfully. There's no doubt about that. So,
Nice.
some of the peppers are coming up, some peas, I think, maybe some green beans.
Yeah.
Man, we cannot grow carrots.
Yeah.
If our lives depended on carrots, we'd be done. I cannot grow a carrot.
Can you get them
Like
to germinate? Is that the issue, or?
I sometimes I can, and when I can, they don't grow. I mean, the biggest carrot I've grown is like that big, maybe,
Yeah.
if that, and it's just like I don't get it. Like I don't know what it is with me and carrots, but we can't live together. We can't live together.
We'll talk sometime, and I'll get you sorted, man. I've grown some
Yeah,
nice looking carrots.
yeah, nice. I'd
Yeah,
love to
dude.
grow. Every year we're like, all right, we're gonna grow carrots this year, and every year it fails miserable.
They are tricky. They're tricky to get established, especially because
Yeah, yeah.
they have one of the longest germinations. It's like 10 to 15 days,
Mm,
and then when they do germinate, they're just very fragile little things.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I like your
Um,
cardboard idea as well, Jeremy, because one of the things that they often try to promote is like the root systems to grow deeper, so that way
mm,
they're like more stable, a deeper root system. And so the cardboard
yeah,
when if you just transplanted that right into the ground, it like you said, it's biodegradable. The root systems will be able to break through eventually, but initially it'll
yeah.
sort of promote them to sort of really go
You're
down.
right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think that even though we have the toilet paper rolls, I think they're still a little bit deeper even than the plastic ones would allow.
Mm,
There's certainly more room for them to grow in general.
yeah.
About that. So yeah, but yeah. Other than that, I did uncover the strawberries finally, and now we got that freeze warning, so I'm a little worried about that. Uh, but I don't have much going on in the patch just yet, so I don't know if that makes me more worried or less worried. But other than that, the one of my blueberry bushes isn't, I don't think, is alive. So
No.
yeah, not good because you need the berry bushes to pollinate each other.
Right.
My one other one's okay, but so I'm gonna run out maybe this week. I'm gonna run out and get a couple berry bushes, put them in
Yeah.
and get them going. And then my grapevine's starting to come to life. I got to figure out
Cool.
decision time for my trellis. I got to get moving because that sucker, man, once it starts going, it's gonna go. So
Yeah.
I'll take a picture of it.
I just
I
say, if you
intend to
thought
take a
about the
picture of it
little
exactly as it
time,
is right now.
Yeah, time lapse.
I'm not going to be able to do. I'm not going to be able to do that, but I am going to take pictures. Like I'm going to take a picture of it this week. I'll take a picture of it with my crappy little system set up, and
Yeah.
then I'll get a picture, as I get the trellis up, and then I'll keep documenting it as the vine grows, because it's just incredible. I mean, right now it almost looks dead. As a matter of fact, the other day, Lena was like, "Jeremy, I don't think we're growing grapes," and I was
Nah.
like, they always start a little late, I was like, just give them some time. You'd be surprised. And sure enough, the other day I was out there when I was messing with the strawberries. I leaned over and I looked at them, and sure enough, I could see some green starting to shoot out. Aha! Yes.
There you go. Excellent.
Yeah. So yeah, so things are happening. Excited about it, nervous about it, hoping I can have some success this year.
Yeah.
I don't know. Feel pretty good about it, but until it's actually happening.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. Yeah.
We'll see.
Have you been listening to what's his name? The like Aussie gardener guy, Mark.
Oh, self-sufficient me.
Yeah, let's get into it.
No, I do see him occasionally. I haven't been watching him consistently though, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah, he's a funny dude.
Yeah,
he knows how to grow. That guy.
Indeed.
He knows how to grow.
I like his style, keeping it all like at waist level, raised
Yeah.
bed style like that. Too.
Yep. Yeah, that's real nice. That's real nice. Is he? No, he's not the one. Curtis Stone's the one that does the microgreens and sells them. Because I showed a buddy of mine recently. We were talking about growing stuff and things of that nature, and I sent him links to Self-Sufficient Me and Curtis Stone. I was just like, hey, these guys, like, wealth of information here between these two. And so I guess he started watching the videos, and he starts texting me. He's like, this guy's idea for the microgreens. He's like, I like that. Like, I have pretty much everything that I would need to start doing that for myself, with the exception of, I can't remember what. He's like, I think I'm in. He's like, I think I'm going to do it.
Nice.
So I'll actually be seeing him tomorrow, so I'll get to ask him about it and see if he's got anything set up. But
cool.
Yeah, he was like, I'm gonna, I'll start selling to I'll start doing some selling to local grocers and stuff. I was like,
it's a good market. It's
that's
a good market to get into. So
yeah.
It's starting to really take off, it seems like.
Yeah. Well, I know Curtis makes a lot of money doing it, I believe. I'm pretty sure he makes pretty good money doing that. I don't know a whole lot about him, other than he's really good at homesteading.
Yeah. He's an interesting guy. He started out in the cities, and he was biking all of his produce to places. He just would pack them into coolers. And what he was doing was he was growing on people's like lawns, basically. Like, and so he would bike from location to location, do whatever work he needed in that little, I don't know, like not even a half acre, right? Not even a quarter of an acre, just like a lawn. Yeah, very fascinating guy.
Yeah, that is interesting. Huh.
The microgreens you can grow year round too, and you can grow in the winter.
Oh yeah. I think I'm gonna for Father's Day or some other day that people give gifts in the future. I think I'm gonna ask for like a seed tray or whatever, a grow tray. Those are that are recommended to grow them in.
Yeah, for the microgreens.
Yeah. So I think I wouldn't mind growing some microgreens and eating on some microgreens
for sure.
Although I don't think they keep very long.
I'm not sure.
I think you pretty much have to harvest them and get them taken care of. It's a bigger problem.
I guess you could. I would imagine you'd be able to like freeze them or do something like that, maybe. Too. But they're so small. They seem like not quite as. Cool thing is like there's so many
Hard.
you can microgreen grow like almost like any crop practically. It's
Yeah.
like kale, sunflowers. Microgreens is like a popular one.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, that's interesting. And
sunflower
that's, I mean,
seeds.
you basically just, I mean, I know that they make seeds specifically for it now, but you can basically microgreen anything just by harvesting it very shortly after it
Exactly.
germinates. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. Interesting. Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I haven't looked into it a whole lot, um, other than to know that that the microgreens are supposed to be packed full of nutritional value.
Yeah.
So,
You got to
yeah.
think that little plant's gonna grow into the whole thing, the whole big
Yeah.
adult plant. So
I guess you would just kind of figure that a lot of that value and stuff they develop over time. You know, it's kind of weird to think that perhaps all of the value of that plant. I'm just having an incredible thought right now. All the potential of that plant's life is in the plant at not conception, but like you see what I'm saying? At
yeah,
activation,
yeah.
like as soon as that seed is born, if you will, and
Hmm.
hatched, that plant, all the potential is available to it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just kind of makes you wonder if, I guess that's kind of the idea of a human too. You know, a human child and a baby, all the
Mm.
potential of the world is there already. You know, it doesn't. I don't know. Kind of trying to connect those two lines of thought, seeing if there's a parallel there. You kind of see where
I
I'm
see
at
what
with
you
that. Like,
for sure. Yeah, the seed being kind of this. Well, it's almost like the start of the journey, but it really is like you're sort of saying. I think the antithesis, I guess, of the beginning of that being, right?
yeah, where we always look at something and think of it as everything about that is in an infancy,
Mm-hmm.
um, and that it has to grow metaphorically and literally into something, right?
Right.
To achieve its potential. But
Right.
this illustration of a seed potentially having all of these benefits to it would have, even if it was full grown, it's almost like that potential is already there. You
Yeah.
know, it's just a matter. I don't know. I don't know how to
Well, the
explain it.
the interesting thing is that as you say, you're right. That it's everything is ready to go. Like the seed itself, it just needs a little bit of water and it germinates, and then it's activating and it's growing and it's like everything is taking place. And now it does obviously need some sunlight and it's taking in nutrients from the soil and everything.
Hmm.
So in terms of, I don't know if like you measured like a microgreen, does it have the same amount of like nitrogen and iron that like a fully developed spinach leaf does?
Hmm.
I don't know,
Right.
but in terms of like all the things that like the plant itself innately has, there's no difference right between those two, the adult
Like,
leaf and the little
and
seed.
you're referring to like the vitamins and some of those things that are in it, right?
I'm thinking more, and I think probably some of those items, some of them, like humans, for instance, we have certain things that we can produce naturally ourselves, but then there are certain things that we need to, get from outside sources, like, proteins from animal meat. There's like amino acids that we can't
Mm-hmm.
produce ourselves. So I wonder if it's something similar to that, where there's certain things that the plant itself has and can produce that it doesn't necessarily, maybe it interacts a little bit with something like water that needs water, and then it can produce something. But I do think there is some uptake from the soil in terms of like, for instance, like again, like nitrogen and iron. Like spinach, I believe, is high in iron, and I would imagine that a lot of that iron is being taken from the soil, not necessarily that it has the same amount of iron in the leaf that it did as the seed, right?
Yeah.
But the seed itself has all the enzymes that adult leaf, has in the end state, right?
Yeah.
It has all the fiber content, all of the cellulose, all the, or not the cellulose, but sure. But
no, I know what you're saying. See, I thought that you were speaking more in terms of like the nutritional value, because don't they? I mean, I guess just it's kind of interesting to me that small seedling, if you will, has the like almost more nutritional value than the full grown thing, right? Isn't that kind of the concept of the microgreens? Like that's one of the benefits of them, is that they're supposed to be very high in nutrients.
I think so, nutrient dense. Yeah, maybe it might be sort of one of those, what do they call them? Those like two curves, and wherever like they cross, it's like the equilibrium point or whatever, something like that. I know in terms of finance, there's some term for that, but I would think that like as a seedling, as a microgreen, there's a very small mass and volume, right? And so the amount of nutrients that are in it is like very condensely packed. And then when it's like a full leaf, you have, there's a lot more water, fiber content. And so the nutrients are much more spread out. So when you eat like a bowl of leaves, that's not nearly going to be as much nutrients as like a bowl of microgreens, because it's much more dense. But that being said, I don't know. That's a good question, because plants definitely take some stuff in from the ground. So, it's a good question.
Yeah, I don't know. It's something that's interesting and kind of odd to think about, because you would kind of think that as the plant matures and grows, that it's reaching its potential as it gets older, right? Whereas, and I'm talking in terms of the nutritional value and things of that nature that it provides, whereas it would almost seem that maybe that thing has that potential immediately. It doesn't even need to go to do much to reach its potential,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of, I guess when I'm trying to relate it to like a human being, it's like people are born with innate abilities, and they're born with the potential to do and be something. For sure. And I feel like maybe they don't need as much intervention as we're providing by shoving them into a classroom and stuff. And I mean, people are so very different in how they consume information anyway, that the idea that everybody should just be shoved into this room and lectured for hours on end every day is pretty crazy. But casting all that aside, just the idea that maybe a little less intervention in a human life would help that human life reach its potential, because you don't have to do a whole lot of intervention in the journey of a seed to get it to reach its potential. And it doesn't take long for it to reach its potential,
Right.
So I don't know. Just I don't know why that kind of a parallel kind of jumped out at me for some reason, but I don't know.
Well, the interesting thing with that too, just to kind of continue on that thread, there is again with like modern agriculture, there's another YouTuber that I will occasionally get in my feed, which is almost the opposite of the style of agriculture that I'm actively trying to implement, and that is that they have these giant tractors, giant, mechanized things that are planters and sprayers, um, and it's actually in modern agriculture is a lot of intervention. You come in and you intervene, you spray, then you come in and you intervene and you chop up the soil and you till the soil up and you do all these different things. And, and you are able to grow something, obviously, but, again, 1940, USDA was saying our soils were depleted of nutrients and topsoil was being eroded. And that was 70 years ago. So you can do the math with how our food is doing now. But,
yeah.
And so it's interesting that there's some new strategies, though, with, a lot less intervention and trying to sort of cultivate things in a way that allow them to more naturally grow in a way that is, more natural, how nature would more just generally do it. And
Yeah.
that could also sort of apply there.
Yeah, but I guess that ultimately the idea of gardening and farming in general is really kind of a colonizer mentality right out the gate, right? I mean, that's pretty unnatural already to be bringing things together and putting them in an organized manner, right? I mean, hunter-gatherer would be the most natural method of living, right?
Yeah, maybe, I guess. I don't know. I
mean, if you want to be like a real Puritan, a real stickler about it,
I guess it depends on how. I guess it depends on what your measure is, I suppose, what your assumptions maybe are, because, I don't think that it's too far off to say that, like, you could have strategic removal of plants to produce certain things that you want, right? Like if I know that, and when I clear cut stuff, raspberries pop up, raspberries, blackberries, and blueberries, then.
But that's gathering, right?
Wasn't that what I'm doing here?
Already. Well,
I'm just gathering stuff that's. I'm just gathering, beans from plants that are naturally growing. Beans are a natural. We've domesticated them a little bit, but I'm just gathering crop from them.
Right, but the thing is, you're not gathering it to consume. You're gathering it to reconfigure it and put it somewhere where it wasn't before.
What do you mean by that?
Well, because you're gathering beans from one area so that you can plant them in this area, right? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, no, I guess I was thinking. Oh, I guess I see what you're saying in terms of if I was a hunter-gatherer and I decided, oh, here's this natural bean crop, and then I took some of the beans and then said next to my village, instead of walking the 10 miles to that crop, I'm gonna just put it next to this tree that's 1 mile or that's 10 minutes from my village or whatever.
Yeah. Which is the idea of gardening in general, right? Is that you want to be able to have the foods that you want to eat or that you need to eat accessible to you, as opposed to having to go and find them somewhere else, which would be the most natural way to go about it. Like I said, I mean, that would just be, if somebody wanted to be a real Puritan about the whole thing or whatever, you could even take it to that degree where, well, maybe you shouldn't be garden, blah blah blah. But no, I see what you're saying, and I mean, there's definitely something to be said for mass factory farms of any kind. I don't think that it's necessarily good, especially depending on how it's being managed. Are they rotating crops? to try and maintain some of that soil integrity that you're talking about, things of that nature. I will say, I find anytime that I hear reports about something that is on this world going away, like a resource of some sort, I kind of have to scoff at it, because they say that stuff all the time. They say that stuff all the time. You know, there's always resources going away. The food's going away. The bees are going away, and you know, I don't know.
That doesn't mean that it's always wrong, right?
Doesn't mean that it's always wrong, but if you look through their history, they're wrong quite a lot. I'm pretty
Well, I think
sure
it depends on where you're.
oil by now.
As I said, I think it depends on what like source you're referring to, maybe, because like for instance, so here in Maine, you know, it's a big discussion is like the salmon population, and I mean that I can like verify personally. Like I go fishing in the streams, and like you don't see salmon in the Atlantic salmon in the streams really anymore. But they're starting to have a little bit of a comeback. I had a buddy that caught one last year. But it's like, so like, that's one of those things where like people say like, oh, there's not like the salmon anymore, but they're starting to come back. And you know.
That's a little different because that's an animal resource that's like not easily trackable, but like you said, you can observe that for yourself.
Yeah.
When they're talking about, oh, the minerals in the soil are deteriorating and going to be gone. How do they know that? Like, I don't know. That just seems a little sketch to me. There's always going to be cows shitting on the ground. There's always going to be deer crapping on the ground. Like,
but they don't crap on the ground that they farm. That's the problem. Because they.
Well, yeah, but that goes back to what I was saying. There are inherent issues with huge farming like that, and but speaking of soil integrity, I've seen something interesting here lately. You all right?
Well, I don't know if hopefully I don't know if everyone else is hearing that in the YouTube audio. I just had a horrible buzz come in through my audio that like blocked you out there. So apologies if that came through the stream. Hopefully not. Hopefully everyone just heard Jeremy talking. But yeah.
Something that I have been seeing at a local farm here, which is very interesting. I'm not exactly certain what they're up to, but I would assume that it's a soil rejuvenation exercise of some variety. They so they have a lot of fields where they do kind of like almost companion planting, I guess you could say. So they have a strip maybe 30 feet wide.
Yeah.
That's going to be like something in the dirt, and then they have a strip where it's just like hay that they'll mow, nice. And then there's a strip where it'll be something in the dirt.
Yeah.
And then, another strip of hay. So that and I've heard like from Grandpa's farm that they do that because it helps with the soil consistency.
Yeah.
Like Grandpa would have a field of grass.
Yeah.
And alfalfa and stuff that he would mow, and then the next strip next to that he would make a field of corn because you have to grow the corn straight out of the dirt.
Yeah.
And the grass helps keep the field, that part of the field, intact, and it helps with water drainage and things of that nature.
Yeah.
So this farm does that same thing on kind of a bit of a smaller scale.
Cool.
And I noticed that they went and plowed this strip in the one field, and it's about, I don't know, 15 feet wide maybe. And I mean, I shouldn't say plowed. They actually took a bulldozer. I mean, I saw they had a bulldozer out there. Yeah. So maybe 15 feet wide, maybe not even quite that wide, but about 4.5 to 5 feet deep.
Whoa.
And I'm talking 75, 100 feet long. Like, this is serious. I mean, they took a serious chunk of earth out here. And then I see they have some dump trucks out there a couple days later, and the dump trucks are dumping what, I mean, I've spent time on a farm. Definitely looked to me like manure. Like the
Uh-huh.
trucks were just literally dumping manure, and it looks now like they are pushing the manure into that big hole that they plowed.
Into the big hole there.
Um,
Huh.
yeah, and I'm not sure. Like it's kind of stopped. We got some rain here the last couple of days, so the operations kind of come to a halt here. Um, but I'm curious to see what the end result is. I mean, they still got a ton of crap, literally, to push around, and not enough space to push it into. I don't think
Wow,
so.
seriously? They've dug
Yeah,
that big of
yeah.
a hole
Oh,
and you
dude, yeah, yeah. Well, they have more crap than they're going to be able to put in the hole. But
wow.
um, yeah, I don't know. Pretty wild.
Huh.
And I'm not entirely certain. Like I said, what the end goal is going to be or what it is. It's definitely something I've not seen before, and I didn't know if it was anything that you'd heard of or um, it's pretty
That's
wild.
that's pretty unique. I've never heard of a
Yeah,
shit drench like that.
yeah, yeah. I told Lena when we were driving past it, I was like, man, I wonder how much they paid for all that shit. you know,
Maybe they're
because
disposing of it for
probably
someone.
that's possible. That's possible. Although I'd be surprised because in this day and age, you can sell that. I would imagine you could sell that to somebody that wants to make some compost or something. I would think that stuff's almost got to be profitable. Like you know, I don't know.
It depends. It can be some people don't want to deal with the work. It can be a lot of work, the turning of it
Yeah,
and you know.
yeah,
That's a
yeah.
good,
I
huh?
don't know.
That's fascinating, man. There's
Yeah,
that type of manure is can be really good and beneficial for things. Um, but you want to apply it in the right way, though,
yeah,
too.
yeah. Yeah, yeah.
That's
I'm not sure what they're up to. I'll have to try to snap a picture of it next time I'm going by.
that sounds
It's on
crazy.
obviously on a little bit of a back road, so I shouldn't have a problem. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely different, definitely weird. Um, yeah, I don't know, but anyway, um,
Yeah, well, the big thing I was just to kind of go back to what we were saying, the nutrients and stuff. The soil has all that. The truth is that that's all there because it's clay and sand basically hold all these nutrients and pulverized rock that you need. It's more it's the access to it because it's locked up as like that solid forms, right? It's clay, it's sand, and how do plants, access the nutrients from those solid forms? And the only way that they can is from soil biology, and that's sort of where we're lacking is a lot of that soil cultivation, So, but like as you said, if people do sort of intercropping and they do crop rotation, different things like that, there's things that people can do to help improve the soil, keep it
yeah,
healthy. Yeah.
yeah. Well, and even using like an organic natural fertilizer like manure, um, that's that's beneficial for the soil. That type of stuff is good for the dirt.
Yeah. That's
I
how you
don't know.
build the soil. That's how you build the
Yeah,
soil. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Dead stuff. I remember, we toss certain types of animals into the field at times. You know,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
that's there was that one field. Uh, it sat right beside the one cemetery, and that field always produced, always produced
Yeah.
real well. And we always joked that it was it was
The
the
runoff.
bed right next to it. A little bit of runoff running down there, helping that field out. Oh man, that's nasty. That's nasty. Oh man. Well, we got like 10 minutes left. There's a couple things that I did want to get to.
Oh, sure.
First off, we have a Twitter account now, finally.
Nice.
At 2J's at night. It's the numeral 2 and then JSATNIGHT, 2J's at night. Follow us on Twitter.
Hit us up.
We'll if we get followers, I'll be a little more active on there. We've got 3 right now, one of which is me, so not a whole lot going on there yet, but get us some traffic, and we'll try to be a little more active on there. Big news for me. As of a week ago today, I am retired, or at least semi-retired. I might pick up some side hustles here and there, but I am semi-retired. I am Mr. Stay-at-home dad.
Done with the ball and chain of the cubicle life and office life, 9 to 5.
Oh, it's been so incredible. This first week, it's just kind of weird not having to go to work, not having to answer to anybody other than myself, which is bad enough. I'm my own harshest critic, so
I can understand that. I'm sure you probably are, Jeremy, because I'm the same. And I can only imagine if you're anything like me, then it can be a battle sometimes.
And I just because I feel like, matter of fact, earlier this week I had the thought, ever had those days where you just want to do everything, and that's the way it is for me every day. Like every day I want to do everything. I wake up and my list that I expect to accomplish is like this long. And then, what I actually get done is like maybe like this. And it always kind of aggravates me a little bit.
But, you feel bad.
I'm still productive. Yeah. I mean, I'm still very productive. It's just, I just don't get as much done as I thought I would.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's been good so far. It feels nice to be able to, I'm catching up on some things around the house. And then, it'll be nice to be able to start trying to get into a kind of a rhythm here at some point. Things are a little topsy-turvy around the house still. Lena's been down and out. She had surgery 2.5 weeks ago. She's doing well. But still off work, and so it's really a very interesting transitional time in our home right now. It's just,
all right.
It's weird because I kind of almost feel like I'm in limbo to a degree with her being off work. And, so it's like I'm not totally into how things are going to be yet.
Right.
So I don't know. But a whole new set of challenges, and looking forward to it. And it'll be good stuff.
That's very exciting, man. That's awesome.
Excited about all that. Yeah.
All kinds of new little projects that you can head on. I'll be interested to sort of see what sort of side hustles you do and see the progress on the garden. And for sure.
Yeah, well, and I'm just looking forward to just getting some stuff done around the house too. I've got to figure out how to do some gutter repair. I've got some leaky gutters here and there. Got to figure out what's going on there. That'll be an interesting task because I know exactly nothing about it. Other than the water runs off the roof into them and then they run down in some other pipes that go elsewhere.
Right.
That's what I know. And I know you got to get on a ladder to mess with them, and I hate ladders, so there's that too.
Well, I know that Dad's had to mess with gutters a lot, so I'm sure he'll
Yeah.
be able to help you out.
Hey.
Let me ask you, how have you been
But,
sleeping this past week? Feel like you've been sleeping any differently, better?
I don't think so, because I've slept pretty good for quite some time now.
Oh, good.
Yeah, there was a sketchy period in my life there. Uh, let's say about 3.5 years ago, a period of about 2 years where I really had some trouble sleeping. I mean,
Mm.
some really bad stuff, like some real bad insomnia where sometimes I'd go, a week, 10 days without much sleep. And I'm talking like the type of insomnia that was anxiety driven insomnia.
Yeah.
It wasn't just that I wasn't sleeping, it's that I would be up like pacing the floors.
Yeah.
I know this one time I lost like almost 20 pounds in a month almost, because I was just pacing around constantly,
Wow.
every night, just almost, just pacing around. So I've been through some real sleep problems, in the not so distant past. But man, for the last couple years for sure, I sleep pretty well. I mean, I'll have a night here and
Good.
there where I don't sleep so great, but predominantly I sleep very well, and
Yeah.
that has continued this week. Yeah, I'm still getting up. I still get up at like quarter after 6 o'clock in the morning. I got to get up. I got to stretch my back out. If I don't stretch my back, I can barely move some days. So I got to do that. And then I'm getting the boys up and moving for school right now. And
Yeah.
so I'm still getting up early, and, but yeah, sleeping very well. And like today I just decided, you know what? I don't think I'm going to do much anything today. And I probably wouldn't have made that decision if Lana was working. I think she's really getting pretty stir crazy with, having to be restricted with what she can do and everything.
Right.
So I thought she might appreciate it if I just kind of took a day to kind of hang out with her.
Mm.
So
That's good.
so
It's
that's what I
nice to
did
have that
today.
flexibility, right?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And
Yeah.
then that turned into us doing a lot of running around today. But it was nice. It's nice to have that flexibility too, because it's like, dude, and I was thinking about this earlier this week with some of the stuff I was doing. I was like, when the hell did I do this before? Like,
Mm.
I mean, man, I had to really manage my time, and not that I won't still, but I mean, I just had to be on top of every minute of my life
Yeah.
before,
Right.
and
Yeah.
now it seems like I'll just have a little bit more leeway with being able to get things done. And yeah, it's pretty awesome. It's
And
really awesome.
as they always say, right, that whenever they talk about, was thinking of going to a concert or going to visit someone, people will always tell you that just do it, because when you're 70 years old or whatever, you won't remember the money you saved. You'll remember the time you
No,
spent.
yeah.
Time
Mhm.
is what we really should be valuing. I mean, time is worth so much more than the cash that we use, when we use our time to make
Oh
it.
yeah.
So,
Oh yeah. I, I've I've I'm a very punctual person, and I always have been. And there are certain situations where I don't care so much if somebody's running late or something like that. But there's also a lot of situations where I'm not one that takes offense to a lot of things, but if you're wasting my time, if I am waiting on you for some reason when I should be doing something else, or I could be doing something else, I
yeah.
take offense to that. I
Hmm.
really do, because you're right. That's the one thing you are not going to get back is time. You will not get it back. It's the most valuable resource. You want to talk about a resource that is
Mm.
finite? It's your fucking time, man.
Yep.
That's not fear mongering. That's truth.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, that is limited, and yeah,
Yeah, that's something I always
yeah.
try to like. Anytime
So
I talk to someone, I'm always like, "Thank you for your time." That's something I'm always like very
yeah,
cognizant of. Is like I appreciate that you took some time to like talk to me about this because your time is valuable. So yeah.
yeah,
Speaking of
yeah,
time,
for sure, for sure.
we've done a full complete hour
About
here.
that time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and it also makes me think we do need to have a discussion. We do need to have our discussion about time. I've
Yes.
been thinking about it, and I haven't been thinking about it as much lately, but it is something I'd like to talk about with you. I think it would make for a decent, at least 15 minutes or so on one of these streams. So
For sure.
um, we're not going to do it this time, but maybe next week we could do that because I think we'll be good to go next week. Um, so subscribe, hit the thumbs up, hit the bell. Find us on Twitter, the numeral 2JSATNIGHT, 2 J's at night.
2 J's.
And
J's.
yeah, just have fun until then.
Stay safe,
Any
everyone.
other? Yeah, don't say that. Why did you say that? We're gonna edit that.
What I like to say is stay
All right.
healthy.
Until
It's
next.
half the battle. That's what my father-in-law
There
always,
you
always
go.
says to me. It's half the battle.
All right. Well, I will talk to you next week, Jordan. I love you, man. Take care.